I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Sullivan.
You're very red.
Yes, I am. Sorry, I've got my notes mixed up here. Ms. Sullivan, you mentioned in your testimony about the actions that the Department of Defense is taking, not only in providing the clean drinking water, but also in the remediation efforts. And I was just wondering, I'm interested in learning more about how you actually go about notifying the individuals on these installations and what the communication structure looks like.
Well, first of all, happy birthday, sir.
Thank you.
Each of the military installations, this is voluntary on their part, we encourage military installations in the communities to establish what we call restoration advisory boards. And these boards are populated by local citizens who want to learn more about the cleanup going on those bases. It is voluntarily on their part, but we support them and fund that activities. As far as on our bases, we have sophisticated notification systems for the populations present on the installations to make sure the information gets out, and in full consistency with the Safe Drinking Water Act, where we are, in fact, the purveyor, we do the routine monitoring and issue the consumer confidence reports on top of routine correspondence with the citizens on the base.
So you're providing them with bottled water, is that right?
It depends on the situation, sir, and what their choices are. In some cases, we may hook them up to an alternative water supply, or if in some cases they want bottled water, or we may install some sort of granulated activated carbon solution. It depends on the circumstances.
But whichever way you do it until the remediation is completed.
Correct.
Okay, good. What types of sites? Is there a particular type of site that you see the most contamination on?
Oh, it's interesting. It is a range of sites. A lot of it is associated with, as you can understand, firefighting activities, training, mostly. The newer sites for us that we have to go and explore are crash sites. So usually with the firefighting sites, there has been some other chemical or compound that has been used, so we've already done a certain amount of investigation. However, the crash sites are now newer. That is a challenge for us to go out and identify where those sites were and understand the circumstances around them.
Good, thank you very much. Dr. Grievett, you mentioned in your testimony that there were 4 significant actions that you were considering when you were making these recommendations for PFAS and for the contaminated areas. Can you explain those 4 to me very quickly?
Yes, certainly. So the first is to explore the development of a national primary drinking water regulation for PFOA and PFAS. There are important considerations that we have to work through. That is ongoing right now. The second is exploring the listing of PFOA and PFAS as hazardous substances under CERCLA. There are many statutory mechanisms for achieving that goal. That's very important in terms of our ability to order cleanup actions and to recover costs that EPA may expend for those actions. The third is development of groundwater cleanup goals under our waste cleanup programs for these substances, very important in terms of addressing contaminated sites. And then the final one is developing toxicity values for 2 additional PFAS substances. Those are Gen X and PFBS, and we're hoping to have those draft values available for public review and comment in the coming weeks.
Do you have a timeline on all 4 of these or on the different steps?
Right. So as I noted, the toxicity values is probably the closest to being completed, and we're looking towards the coming weeks to have those completed. The groundwater cleanup recommendations are currently undergoing interagency review, so that process is actively underway. The last 2 will be addressed in the National Management Plan, which our goal is to have that completed by the end of the calendar year in terms of identifying the path forward on these important actions.
Great. Well, thank you both in your work on this. Very challenging. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time.